Hi everybody, Sean from Movie Assault here, and it is time once again for another video. This time around I wanted to do my entry into the Tim Talks Talkies latest challenge, which is the your top 25 favorite movies from the 1980s. I sort of agonized over this list. I watched a few other people's lists and put together a spreadsheet to come up with my own sort of weird computational way of pulling this together. So here are the results as of today, and probably only accurate as of today. These could probably change. Probably the top five could probably all interchange based on what I was feeling on that particular day, or which way the wind was blowing, or whatever. So we'll get right into it. Don't want to waste too much time because it's going to be a long video as it is. We'll start with number 25, and that is 1983's Star Wars Return of the Jedi. I've noticed that the Star Wars movies, there's two Star Wars movies that were made in the 80s, and I haven't seen them on anybody's list, but this is the third of the original trilogy, of course, the sixth of the entire saga. This is probably my least, well, it is my least favorite of the original trilogy, but still a great movie. You know it, it's Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Next up at number 24 is Major League from 1989. And this is a movie that I came to appreciate later in life. Living in the Cleveland area, this deals with the Cleveland Indians, who have not won a championship in quite a long time. And it is still the message of this. They're now the Cleveland Guardians, but the Indians/Guardians haven't won a championship in a very, very long time. It was true in 1989. It's still true today, but this movie is a classic. And I actually got a chance to see a screening of this recently with Charlie Sheen in attendance, and he answered questions afterwards. It was really cool. But I'm not a big fan of baseball, but I love baseball movies. This is a good one. At number 23 is Stand By Me. I haven't opened this, but I've watched this many, many, many times. This is a great movie about friendship, friends going on an adventure to find a dead body, to see a dead body. It's got a great cast, but the end of it, the final moments where the narrator talks about friends and the last time you've seen your friends and all that. If you've seen the movie, you know I don't want to spoil anything, but this is just a great, great movie, Stand By Me. And that is from 1986. Number 22. This is the whole trilogy, but I am specifically referring to the first, which is The Naked Gun from 1988. And this stars, of course, Leslie Nielsen, O.J. Simpson. I don't even remember who else is in this. George Kennedy. Just a hilarious movie. I went to the theater to see this with friends, and we couldn't believe how much we laughed. Still one of my all-time favorite movie-going experiences, but I've watched it plus the other two movies many, many times. I used to have the original poster for this movie because it didn't play at my theater, but we got a movie poster for it, and I had it hanging up and have lost it over the years, unfortunately. At number 21 is War Games from 1983. This is a movie that took its time getting to my theater, my local theater. So I actually read the novelization in 3 hours, but just absolutely love this movie. It's very much a product of its time, and at the time this came out, I was big into computers and learning how to program and all that kind of stuff. So this was just right up my alley. And the cast is really good. Matthew Broderick, Ali Sheedy, Dabney Coleman, just an excellent movie. And it really captured the sort of paranoia of the times during the Cold War. At number 20 is Starman, which was directed by John Carpenter, stars Karen Allen and Jeff Bridges in one of his best roles, I think. This is just a great movie about a woman who she's longing for her dead husband, and an alien comes to Earth and actually uses his DNA from a locket of hair that she had saved from him, and comes back and they rekindle a romance that didn't exist to begin with. It's kind of a hard movie to describe, but it's a pleasure to watch. Great movie, Starman. At number 19 is Field of Dreams, starring Kevin Costner. This one is one of those movies that I absolutely bawl like a baby at the end of it. Or at least I did the very first time I watched it. I came out of the theater, because I did see it in the theater, just absolutely trying to hide the fact that I was completely overtaken by emotion. But this is just a great movie. And yet again, another baseball movie, and I don't like baseball. At number 18, it's part of this set, which I have not opened yet, but I've owned many, many copies of this movie. It is Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home from 1986. This is probably one of the more, if not the most lighthearted of the Star Trek movies featuring the original series cast. And that's one of the reasons I like it, but it shows the camaraderie between the cast, how they work together to solve problems. It's kind of an absurd problem to have, where you're trying to transport whales from the past into the future, but it is an excellent movie anyway, and I just really, really enjoy it. It is not the last Star Trek movie you'll see on this list. Then at number 17 is 1987's Predator, by far the best of the 4 Predator movies. Absolutely love Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura, Carl Weathers, the entire cast. Just a great action movie, a great science fiction movie, and I know it spawned a lot of sequels, but I would have been okay if they just had left it and never made a sequel to it. Coming in at number 16 is Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I have not opened this one yet either, but I have watched it many, many times, renting this on VHS when it first came out. And this is one of those movies that if you grew up during this time period, you know this movie sort of captures the early 1980s perfectly. Just an excellent, excellent movie. Very funny. Great cast. Judge Reinhold. Who else is in this? Jesus. Judge Reinhold, Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Phoebe Cates, Brian Backer, Ray Walston, and of course was based on the book by Cameron Crowe. Great movie. Number 15 is The Princess Bride. Of course, this is another movie that I am really shocked I haven't seen in more top 25s. But this is a great film with Cary Elwes, Mandy Patinkin, Chris Sarandon, Christopher Guest, Wallace Shawn, Andre the Giant, of course, and Robin Wright is in this as well as the titular Princess Bride. Directed by Rob Reiner, not the last Rob Reiner movie you're going to see in this list, but just an all-around fantastic movie. A lot of fun, very quotable. All right, at number 14, I hate this cover, but I love this movie. This is Near Dark from 1987, directed by Catherine Bigelow, featuring Lance Henriksen, Bill Paxton, Jenny Wright, Adrian Pasdar, and Jeanette Goldstein, and just a fantastic vampire movie. Visually stunning. A great story. I don't know why they put the stupid Twilight type cover. Well, I know why they put the stupid Twilight type cover on it to sell Blu-rays, but it's definitely not anything like Twilight at all. But it is still a great, great movie. Actually, the 2 leads are probably the worst part about it, but it's still great. Next up, number 13 is 1980's The Elephant Man, starring John Hurt and Anthony Hopkins. Sorry, my brain is going blank with people's names today, but this was directed by David Lynch, probably one of his more conventional films, but this tells the excellent story, or it tells an excellent story about John Merrick, who was suffering from a disease that physically changed him into what most people would call a circus freak. But underneath all of that was, of course, a very delicate human, and this tells his story very, very well. Excellent movie. At number 12, I told you we weren't done with Rob Reiner. This is Spinal Tap, one of the best, if not the best, mockumentary that is out there and has ever been released. Of course, this stars Christopher Guest and Michael McKean, Harry Shearer, and Rob Reiner himself is in it. I like how it says this Blu-ray goes to 11. Very quotable. If you've been to any rock show in the 80s, you know all about this. Just a great movie. Hilariously funny. The more you're into the music industry, probably the funnier it is. I really enjoy it. At number 11 is The Terminator, the original from 1984, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. And this is a great movie. I still like Terminator 2 better than this one, but this is by no means a slouch on its own right. Made on a fairly low budget by James Cameron, and employing Schwarzenegger would probably be one of his most well-known roles. But the concept of going back in time to eliminate someone from existing so they wouldn't be a problem in the future is really cool. And of course has been sort of flipped over and reversed and redone in the Terminator franchise over and over again, but and other films too. But this one did it probably the best in terms of the time travel aspect, and I really, really enjoyed The Terminator. All right, at number 10, we get into the top 10. It is Airplane, the first movie here from 1980. Absolutely funny, just absolutely hilarious parody film based on the movie 0 Hour, which I did a review of on the channel. After watching 0 Hour, watching the Airplane version of it, because it's basically the same movie, believe it or not, makes the movie even more funny. Some of the jokes may not have aged well, in terms of PC-ness, but it's still a great movie and very funny. At number 9, another part of a collection would be Aliens from 1986. Science fiction action doesn't get much better than Aliens. Again, Bill Paxton, James Cameron directing, and just a very tense, more action-oriented alien entry, quite different from the first one, which was made in '79. But this one I like better than the original. Even though the original is fantastic, Aliens, I think, tops it. Just a great movie. At number 5... Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped like a whole bunch. At number 8 is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Saw this in the theater, absolutely loved it. This was a great comeback for the series from the original movie, the Star Trek The Motion Picture, which was by most accounts pretty mediocre. But this had everything. It had a great villain. It had a great action set pieces, great performances from everybody involved, just a lot of fun. This is what you would want to go to see a Star Trek movie and hope it would be. So yeah, Star Trek The Wrath of Khan, and that was directed by Nicholas Meyer. At number 7, can't forget about this, another John Carpenter movie, The Thing from 1982. Another science fiction horror action film. This one probably more heavy on the horror, but this has some of the best practical effects that I've ever seen on film. Some people say they haven't aged very well or too well. I think they still stand up pretty well. Just a great tension-filled movie. Just a lot of weirdness, body horror, if you want to call it that. I think some people do. I don't necessarily call this a body horror film, but yeah, The Thing. At number 6, another surprising omission on a lot of people's lists. I don't think I've seen this on anybody's list yet, but National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This is absolutely my favorite Christmas movie. I can't imagine Christmas without it. It's immensely quotable. Watch it multiple times per Christmas season. Used to watch it with my entire family on Christmas Eve when we were all able to get together. Now that we can't, still watch it anyway. Love this movie. Chevy Chase, love him or hate the guy personally, is hilarious in this, and just the stupid situations that he gets himself into. I laugh at this every year just as much. All right, at number 5 that I almost spoiled before is They Live, also from John Carpenter. You may be surprised that this placed higher than The Thing, but I just love this movie. I love the whole message behind it. The ridiculously over-the-top fistfight scene in this, Roddy Piper's performance. You know, he may not have been a great actor, but he was perfect for this. The special effects, while a little on the low-budgety side, are still impressive and interesting and funny. Just an all-around enjoyable science fiction film. All right, at number 4, Raiders of the Lost Ark, or as it was retconned into the Indiana Jones series as Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is one of the greatest action movies ever made, still by far the best of the Indiana Jones series, but this has everything, a little bit of romance, a lot of action, and just super charismatic lead with Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones. Great story, excellent villains. I mean, this is as close to a perfect action movie as you can get. Raiders of the Lost Ark from 1981. All right, number 3 is RoboCop from 1987. Absolutely one of my all-time favorite movies. I had trouble trying to not put this in number 1, but I don't think it beats out number 1 and number 2, at least not in terms of today's feelings. But I love this movie. Peter Weller, Nancy Allen, the direction by Paul Verhoeven, just absolutely classic. Ultra violent as hell, and a commentary on commercialism, capitalism. It has more to say than just a lot of violence. So RoboCop. The sequels have all pretty much not been very good. The remake didn't capture this as didn't get the spirit of this movie right. But this is an all-time classic, RoboCop from 1987. All right, coming in at number 2 is Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. Or The Empire Strikes Back, if you want to just call it that, from 1980. This is my favorite of the original trilogy, I think. The original Star Wars will never be topped in terms of the way it made my jaw drop, but in terms of a better movie, Empire Strikes Back is a better film. But I don't watch this as often as I watch the original Star Wars. But it's got everything you want. It's got, again, great action sequences. Darth Vader steps it up. A little bit of romance between Han Solo and Princess Leia. You've got the introduction of Yoda. A lot of cool twists in this. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. I'm not going to spoil it, even though this movie's 43 years old. But yeah, this is a classic. Empire Strikes Back is number 2. So what beat Empire Strikes Back in terms of my favorite movie from the 1980s? And that would be this. It is An American Werewolf in London from 1981. This is a movie that I discovered maybe 2 or 3 years after it came out. And this is a movie I make time to watch every year, which I can't say about every movie on this list, but I always make time to watch An American Werewolf in London. It's got a great mix of horror, comedy, it's got gore, it's got jokes, it's got a little bit of romance. And the one thing that I like about this is that it ends on kind of a downer. And I won't spoil anything, but yeah, it's just kind of a downer of a movie at the end, a little bit. But that's what I like about it. It's like a curveball. But yeah, I can't say enough about good things about this movie, directed by John Landis. And this is my favorite movie of the 1980s. So there you go. That's my top 25 movies from the 1980s. Thank you very much for sticking with me to the end. As always, I appreciate your attention span. And have you entered into Tim Talks Talkies challenge? If not, I'd love to see your list. Leave it in the comments below, or tell me where I can find your video. And as always, thanks for watching. And if you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Take it easy.